Well, like all of us, I think back to my rookie year 34 years ago, came out of a system at Oregon where we never even called the pass protection. The offense that Shedeur ran, the two offenses he ran in Colorado, plus the offense at Jackson State, plus the offense, in high school at Trinity. I mean, you just don't know what you're going to get faced with. My rookie coach was Norval Turner there in Dallas, and he used to get after me because I wouldn't call the play correctly in the huddle. So all of us rookies have mountains to climb in terms of how well were we prepared for this level. Whether we're in the huddle, we're in the shotgun, we're under center, we're no huddling, we're sending motions. Every language is different.
Sources say Browns quarterback coach Bill Musgrave finally said out loud what a lot of people inside the building had been quietly circling since late last season. And once it was said, there was no pulling it back. According to those close to the quarterback room, Musgrave's tone noticeably shifted during recent internal meetings, media availability, and film sessions. And it wasn't subtle or accidental. This wasn't frustration leaking out. This was intention. The message landed clearly inside the building. Shedeur Sanders is not being handled like a normal rookie, and that reality has been hurting both his development and the trust inside the room. Sources say Musgrave wasn't taking shots for attention or playing to narratives. This wasn't click-driven commentary. This was football truth delivered the way coaches speak when jobs, credibility, and futures are on the line. According to insiders, Musgrave emphasized that Shedeur Sanders' processing speed, pocket awareness, and command of protections already separate him from most young quarterbacks, and that wasn't hype talk. That was film-backed evaluation. Sources say Musgrave pointed directly to specific practice reps, where Shedeur adjusted routes pre-snap, identified pressure looks early, and checked out of bad situations before they could turn into disasters.
They're determined to figure this whole pro game out, talking about the rookie quarterbacks. And Shedeur has worked really hard on his footwork and his rhythm and his feet, really telling him how to get through progressions. The first route might be thrown on the plant before we even take a hitch step or a gather step in the pocket. And then moving to number 2 to number 3, a little bit like the 60-yard touchdown to Jerry the other day. His feet told him that initially the front side of the pattern wasn't working. It wasn't looking very appetizing. And sure enough, when he got to his second or third hitch step or gather step, he inherently got back to that backside in cut. And that was outstanding.
He wasn't just surviving reps. He was commanding them. He checked out of bad looks and made throws other quarterbacks in the room wouldn't even attempt. Those details matter because they directly contradict the narrative that Shedeur wasn't ready or needed more time. According to sources, Musgrave addressed the biggest elephant in the room without hesitation. Inconsistent reps. First-team opportunities came and went, and with them went rhythm and chemistry. People who reviewed internal practice charts say the stop-start approach stalled continuity, timing, and confidence. And when you're dealing with a quarterback who thrives on rhythm, that matters more than people want to admit. Sources say Shedeur Sanders' efficiency spiked every single time he received extended work with the starters, and that's what reportedly caused Musgrave to start asking harder questions. Why did the same pattern keep repeating? Production followed by reduced opportunity. Momentum followed by interruption. What really shook the room, according to sources, was when Musgrave reportedly acknowledged something that had been quietly obvious to players for weeks. Leadership was not the issue. Teammates responded to Shedeur. Receivers stayed late to work timing. Linemen communicated protections more clearly when he was under center. Those are things coaches notice instantly, and they don't show up by accident. The tone wasn't emotional or dramatic. It was controlled, deliberate, and direct. Musgrave allegedly framed it as a football failure, not a personal one, and that distinction made it impossible to dismiss. This wasn't politics, favoritism, or outside noise. This was about production and process, plain and simple. Sources say once Musgrave put the tape on, arguments evaporated fast. The film reportedly showed Shedeur making quicker reads against pressure packages, avoiding negative plays, and throwing receivers open instead of waiting for separation. That's not college flash. That's NFL-level quarterbacking, and insiders say the contrast jumped off the screen. Musgrave reportedly zeroed in on third-down situations. According to sources, Shedeur consistently anticipated leverage before the break, a trait most rookies don't develop until year 2 or 3. That detail alone shifted how some staffers viewed the situation. When the tape keeps confirming progress, denial gets harder to justify. Sources also claim Musgrave compared practice efficiency metrics side by side. Completion percentage, time to throw, sack avoidance, red zone execution. Across the board, Shedeur Sanders graded higher during extended reps. These numbers weren't leaked or spun for headlines. They were discussed internally, and once they were, limiting opportunities became harder to defend.
It's a difficult task. He's really working hard at it with his study habits and making sure that you can visualize where all the players are in the various patterns. So he's working really hard at it, and there's different study guide aids, whether it be flashcards or on your laptop or watching the film or having more active meetings.
Another point sources say Musgrave stressed was adaptability. Shedeur adjusted protections at the line. He adjusted tempo based on defensive looks. He adjusted his aggressiveness without forcing plays. That's not accidental growth. That's quarterbacking development happening in real time. According to insiders, the message wasn't loud, but it was firm. The film spoke. The metrics spoke. The room felt it. And once those conversations happened, pretending nothing was there stopped being an option. When defenses disguised coverages, Shedeur Sanders didn't panic, and that detail mattered more than anything. Sources say he calmly reset protections, shifted hot routes, and trusted his arm instead of freezing or forcing chaos. That's coach music, plain and simple, and insiders say Bill Musgrave made sure everyone in the room understood exactly what they were seeing on tape. At the same time, Musgrave didn't sugarcoat mistakes, not even a little. Sources say he called out footwork lapses, timing issues, and moments of unnecessary aggressiveness. But here's the difference that changed the conversation. Those mistakes were fixable, not foundational. They weren't red flags, they were normal growth points for a young quarterback actually being challenged. By the end of the film breakdown, sources say the room felt different, and not in a subtle way. The debate wasn't if Shedeur could play anymore. It became, why isn't this being maximized? That question hit harder than any criticism ever could. According to insiders, Musgrave's honesty immediately changed the quarterback room dynamic. The tone became competitive, but healthy. Reps started feeling earned, not rationed, and players noticed the difference right away. That shift alone boosted energy during installs, walkthroughs, and situational prep.
I don't think we're not seeing any more Troy Aikmans or Dan Marinos that are just statues in the pocket and they just deal from the pocket and crush a defense. The defenses now are so advanced and so good that we're not seeing any 6'5", 6'6", just statues back there, even though Phillip Rivers is back. But the guy we're playing this week in Chicago, same skill set. He can throw, but also he can extend plays and he can get out there and create when the defenses take away what is in.
Sources say Shedeur responded exactly how coaches hope a franchise quarterback would. He took even more ownership. First in the building, last to leave, louder in the huddle, but never cocky, just confident. And that confidence spread fast. When the quarterback believes, the offense follows every single time. Insiders also say Musgrave made something crystal clear. Trust is built through opportunity. If a quarterback never gets rhythm reps, evaluation becomes unfair. That message landed hard inside the room. Veteran players reportedly appreciated the transparency because they want clarity, not mystery. When coaches say one thing and do another, locker rooms always notice, and sources say that disconnect had been lingering. By midweek, insiders say the staff stopped debating Shedeur's readiness and started planning around his strengths, and that's a massive pivot. Sources say Musgrave's comments weren't just about correcting the past. They were about shaping 2025 and beyond. According to people familiar with internal discussions, off-season plans now include tailored install packages built specifically around Shedeur's skill set. That means quicker tempo, expanded RPO looks, and deeper intermediate concepts that allow him to anticipate, not hesitate. Musgrave reportedly believes Shedeur's ceiling is tied directly to freedom. Let him see it, call it, and rip it. That philosophy aligns with modern NFL offense thinking, and sources say it's already influencing roster conversations. Receivers who separate late, win leverage battles, and understand spacing fit Shedeur's style best. Linemen who communicate protections cleanly and adjust on the fly become even more valuable. This isn't theory, it's planning. Sources say Musgrave finally saying it publicly removed the fog that had been hanging over the building. When a quarterback coach speaks plainly, it carries weight. The shift happened because clarity replaced confusion, whether critics like it or not. Insiders believe Shedeur Sanders is now being evaluated fairly, and that's all players ever ask for. A real chance, a real process, a real standard. And sources say the biggest shift happening right now isn't just in the quarterback room, it's upstairs. After Musgrave's internal stance became harder to ignore, front office voices reportedly began pushing for alignment between evaluation and opportunity within the Cleveland Browns. That's where things got serious. According to people familiar with internal discussions, decision makers started asking uncomfortable questions about why performance wasn't being rewarded consistently. Once those questions start, there's no going back. Sources say the analytics staff quietly backed Bill Musgrave's position with hard data. And once those numbers entered the conversation, things escalated fast. Practice efficiency curves showed Shedeur Sanders' performance climbing every single time his reps increased. Red zone decision-making improved. Turnover-worthy throws dropped. Pressure response stabilized.
I don't know that I'm in a good spot to answer that today. That's probably going to be for the offseason where we can take a deep breath and reflect a little bit. Right now, we're pretty much in our, as you can imagine, our weekly battle mode of getting ready for a Friday practice in red area and making sure we're sharp on the goal line and 2-point plays and all that, so we can go put our best foot forward versus Chicago. Then after that 7-game stretch, as you described, there'll be time in the offseason to reflect and really break it down and get to the crux of the matter.
Those trends didn't lie. And once those charts started circulating internally, excuses got thinner by the day. According to insiders, the data painted a picture that was impossible to ignore. Shedeur wasn't plateauing. He was accelerating. His efficiency didn't just rise slightly, it consistently jumped when rhythm and continuity were present. That matters in quarterback evaluation, especially in a league where reps equal truth. Insiders claim some executives grew frustrated that public narratives didn't match internal grades on paper. Internally, Shedeur was tracking ahead of schedule, but externally, he was still framed as someone waiting his turn. That disconnect reportedly created tension because everyone inside the building understood one thing clearly. Development windows in the NFL are short, and wasting one can derail entire seasons. Sources say that frustration intensified as time passed. You can't slow play growth while expecting elite results later. According to people familiar with the discussions, the concern wasn't emotional, it was operational. Either you lean into what the data is telling you, or you accept the cost of hesitation. Sources also say sponsorship and ticket metrics quietly entered the conversation once Shedeur's name became attached to practice footage. An internal buzz. Engagement spiked. Jersey sales jumped modestly but steadily. Fan sentiment shifted faster than expected. While football decisions aren't made on clicks alone, ownership always notices momentum, especially when it aligns with on-field growth. Another key point sources highlighted was locker room belief, and this part mattered more than numbers. Veterans reportedly voiced that the energy felt different when Shedeur took command during installs. Drives felt sharper, communication tightened, tempo improved. That belief matters in a league where confidence behind closed doors can swing outcomes on Sundays. Sources say phrases like developmental mismanagement started surfacing internally, not as blame, but as a warning. The message was simple and direct. Either fully commit to developing the quarterback, or stop pretending the progress can happen halfway. You don't get franchise growth through hesitation. By the end of the internal review cycle, insiders say the tone shifted completely. The organization wasn't asking if Shedeur belonged anymore. They were asking how fast he could take the reins without burning bridges. That's a major change in framing. This wasn't chaos or panic. This was correction. Sources say all signs now point to 2025 being the year that defines not just Shedeur's trajectory, but the Browns' credibility as a developmental franchise. The stakes are loud, and everyone in the building hears them. According to insiders, coaches now understand that mishandling this situation again wouldn't just cost games, it could cost jobs. That awareness has reshaped the offseason approach in a real way. This isn't symbolic or surface-level adjustment. Sources claim offseason plans already reflect urgency, more first-team reps, expanded playbook control, faster tempo installs, greater autonomy at the line. This is structural change, not window dressing. The offense is being reshaped to reward anticipation, rhythm, and confidence, not hesitation or over-control. That's quarterback-friendly football, and insiders believe the organization finally understands what's at stake. Insiders also say opposing teams have absolutely taken notice, and that part matters more than fans realize. Defensive coordinators reportedly flagged Shedeur Sanders as a quarterback who processes faster than his rookie label suggests. And once that tag sticks, everything changes. Respect comes early, and respect changes how defenses play you. Looks tighten, disguises get more complex, pressure packages come faster. That's the league acknowledging you're a real problem. Another layer sources highlighted is leadership optics, and this isn't surface-level stuff. When a young quarterback earns trust organically, locker rooms rally around him. That rallying effect can't be scripted or forced. It happens when players believe the guy in charge is prepared, decisive, and accountable. Teammates reportedly trust Shedeur's voice because it's backed by preparation, not entitlement. He speaks when it matters. He knows the install. He owns the mistakes. That's how credibility is built inside an NFL locker room, and sources say that credibility is already there. Sources also pointed out something important about the Sanders name. Yes, it adds pressure, but insiders stress it hasn't become a distraction inside the building. Shedeur isn't treated like a brand or a marketing play. He's treated like a grinder. First in, last out. Detail-driven. That separation matters because it keeps the focus where it belongs, on football, not headlines. According to insiders, the biggest takeaway from all of this is simple but powerful. Once development clicks, it accelerates. Quarterbacks don't grow in straight lines. They leap, they jump. And sources believe Shedeur is approaching one of those jumps right now. If the organization stays aligned, coaches, front office, and locker room pulling in the same direction, 2025 won't be about proving critics wrong. It won't be about fighting narratives or winning debates. It'll be about proving the process finally worked. And that matters for more than just one player. It matters for the credibility of the Cleveland Browns as a developmental franchise. This is the moment where patience, clarity, and accountability either pay off or expose old habits. Sources say the path is clear now, the fog is gone, the evaluation is fair, the opportunity is real. What happens next will tell the league whether this organization learned from its past or repeated it. And if this breakdown brought clarity, insight, and real behind-the-scenes context, make sure to like and subscribe so more deep dives like this keep dropping. No fluff, no noise, just real football truth every time.